What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at an undercover strategy game that I think it's kind of underground. Like, I haven't heard any rumblings about this game, but I've had it on my watch list now for probably a good year to a year and a half. It's called Dust Fleet, and this is a game that very obviously thinks the world of Homeworld. Like, this is a game that was made by somebody that really liked Homeworld. And so ultimately this is a grand strategy RTS hybrid that takes place in kind of like an exclusion zone in space. I don't know how to describe it any more than that. It's almost like post-apocalyptic, but there was no apocalypse. Basically, let's go put these asteroid miners up here real fast before I keep going. Basically, we are responsible for babysitting kind of like this demarcation zone between the inner sphere and like the outer fringes of space. It was a joint operation between us and another space military, and we were guarding that border when the other space military effectively decided to stab us in the back and wipe out our entire command structure in the first couple missions of the game. We're on like mission 4 or 5 now. And so we, as the actual inner sphere navy, are now stuck on the outer fringes of space, trying to fight our way back through the DSEC lines, which is that other military that betrayed us, in order to reconnect with our command structure. And right now we're allying with all the independents that exist out on the fringes of space. This game is fully voiced, and actually, for an indie game, I've been very impressed by how well voiced the game has been. The voice acting has been really good for what is obviously kind of like a low-budget project. The developer did a really good job picking like what the voice actors were going to sound like. It's been good. There's been little problems that I've run into with Dust Fleet so far, but honestly, I've kind of enjoyed the narrative. It's definitely giving me Homeworld vibes. Like, there is an overworld map where you're going to be building bases and manufactories and stuff like that in star systems, and then using that to export violence to other areas where you'll fight in these little RTS storyline battles right here. And so that's what we're currently doing right now. I haven't actually gotten to the civilization building portion of the game inside the campaign yet, but I have played it inside the tutorial and also the prologue that the developers put out, 6 months to a year ago, I guess. I played a prologue for this game, and I did the city building in there. And so I have experienced it, and it's got some depth to it. It's fun to play around with. This isn't like a shockingly in-depth game that's going to blow your mind from what I've seen with the prologue that they sent out, and also with, you know, what I've played so far today in the last hour and a half. But I have enjoyed the game, and I thought that the spell effects and everything were really rad. So if after watching this you wanted to get Dust Fleet for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description. On top of that, if you wanted to hang out live with me, I do have a Twitch stream. You can come visit that whenever you want. I'm live most days of the week over on twitch.tv/Splattercat Gaming. Links down in the description. You can also check out my Discord in case you wanted to get pinged whenever I go live, because I ping the Discord whenever I go live too. If you hate pinging, you can just mute it, and then you can just, like, you know, accost me and talk to me in my free time as much as you want. It's all good. I swing through about a million bazillion times a day. I don't mind shaking hands with people and saying hello. So what are we doing right now? This is MacArthur Station. It's under attack by DSEC, which are the guys that stabbed us in the back. This is an independent station where I'm docking an APC with them right now to get access to their command network. That way, there's nukes inside these asteroids right here. I can detonate them to wipe out enemy waves, and so we're trying to get these independents on our side so that we can make use of their manufacturing capabilities. And so I'm warping in people from, well, they're manufacturing them here, but for whatever reason they warp in through this gate right here. I don't think there's a way to set like a rally point. I wish that there was, but there isn't. I really wish they would all come meet up with us over here. But the first thing I think that's going to grab people with this title is that it's fully 3D. I think this is for better and worse. So, like, sometimes I think the 3D perspective adds to the game and makes it really cool. Other times I kind of find myself wishing that it was faux 3D, like Sins of a Solar Empire, and I think the game would flow a little bit better. This is largely due to the fact that sometimes the nav meshes get a little bit weird. And, like, sometimes what'll happen, you can skip those cutscenes. The game never tells you that. but you can skip the cutscenes if you want. We now have full access to nukes over here. As I was saying, every now and again I'll give an attack order, and like the nav meshes will do weird things. And so anyways, that's the one reason why I say that, is that you do have to plan in this game if you're making blockades, not only for horizontal like X and Y distance, but also for Z distance, and it can be difficult to figure out sometimes. I don't want to detonate all of these yet. They do have cruisers coming in, which is kind of concerning. So we'll go ahead and have them rendezvous over there. Let's detonate that nuke. There it goes. We did hit their armada, and they've got to be inside the radiation field as well, which should continue draining their health. I'm going to save the rest of the nukes for these big ships that are coming in right here. This game is a slugfest. This is not a game about fighters fighting each other. This is a game about cruisers and larger. I think the smallest ship I can make is a frigate, and those aren't even combat roles. Those are almost universally support frigates. Whereas I need to add all these guys to my one group. There we go. All you guys in the one group to keep things organized. My miners are mining. Let's go ahead and we are going to take the battle force. We are going to rendezvous with these guys and try to head them off and fight them with our main fleet. And then over here, we're going to wait till they fly right through this ring, and we're going to detonate all 4. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to babysit the combat over there. We just have to trust that our fleet is going to do a good job, because this is much more paramount that I time this properly, because these ships right here, these are head breakers. These guys are massive, like super cruisers, so like we don't want to mess with them right there. First one is cross the transom. It looks like we mopped up over there, which is good. Going to need to detonate on him, but it's not quite as important. They are in position, and light it. Light it. Light it. Light it. Good stuff. Very nice. All right. The ambush went perfect. Exactly the way that we wanted it to go. The game does show good, careful attention to interesting objectives. My only complaint along that front is that sometimes the objectives are not super well explained. What I mean by that is the objectives you'll see on our sidebar right here. This one is marked as optional, but some missions do not mark like the side things as optional, so sometimes it can be difficult to tell what exactly wins or fails a mission until it's too late. I had a mission previously where it's one of those trophy missions where you're supposed to lose, but like the game didn't really make that super clear. It had a list of all the frigates I was supposed to be getting out of the system, and none of them were marked as optional. All of them were marked as like a main objective. And so as they were dying, I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll just restart them because obviously I failed the mission. No, it's a mission that you were supposed to fail. There's like physically probably no way to get those big badass ships out of that area. Now, each of these ships are customizable. I know that because I played through both the prologue and I played through the tutorial. And so these ships can all have different turrets put on top of them. They have different hard points. Your ships will probably look different than somebody else's ships that are playing the game. In addition, these ships can also have their turrets shot off. You can see the plasma turret right there. It has a different health bar from everything else. Let's go ahead and let's tango with this guy. That's just a bunch of wolves over there, and they got to go through the defensive blockade before they're going to be able to hurt us. So let's go ahead and focus on the Takara first and see if we can light them up. Now, the Takara definitely brings a lot more heat to the street than we do, but I have support frigates right now that are healing my units and making sure that they don't take that much health, at least making it take 5 to 10 times longer for the Takara to kill them, so we should be in good shape. When navigating in this game, I strongly suggest you use anchor points instead of using the manual navigation. You can, so if I wanted to bring these guys over to here and I wanted to click right here, I could also hold down left click to give like depth options right there to determine the height. It takes too much effort. Haven't used it once. The game is full of asteroids and it's full of defensive platforms and it's full of stations and things like that. You can click on any of those things and it will automatically send them to the horizontal, the depth, and also the Z, not the vector, the Z position or the Z point of all of those objects. So just use your anchors heavily. That's my advice, is constantly be using anchor points in order to engage with the enemy. How many more are they bringing over here? We still got a few nukes left. Oh, that's a big, big boy. Oh, that orca's going to be a pain. Light it. Hopefully, is it going to hit? It's hard to say if it hit or not right there. It looks like he took a little bit of damage, and it looks like maybe he's doing a little bit of the Wicked Witch of the West thing and melting a little bit, but I guess just light him and hope no more big ships are coming through. Yeah, that gave him, I mean, that softened him up a little bit. Let's go ahead and let's fight back inside the defensive blockade over here. At the moment, we are not making appropriate use. Oh, no, he was smart. We're faster than he is, though. Okay, good. He attacked my healer first, so that means that the AI is actually kind of smart in this game. They attack healers first. Good to know. What we want them to do is we want them to get tangled up with these defensive platforms right here. So we're going to let the defensive platforms tank for us a little bit. Our miners are still mining up on that asteroid. You can see our resources are going up in the corner. But I'm not absolutely 100% convinced that we need to worry too much about making more miners. I think we're okay. Let's wait for these to close the gap a little bit further. It looks like they are both interested in firing on our repair boats, which is unfortunate. I wish that they were not. Oh, they've got anti-missile beams. Gotcha. I forgot about that. So I've played through this mission before, and then I restarted it at the end, because I felt like this was a good opening point for you guys to see the action of the game. Anti-missile turrets, I don't know if they're actually shooting down the missiles, but it does look like the Tokara has now engaged. We will square up with the Tokara first. You can specifically tell your units to fire on the enemy's turrets and disable them. That usually only works really well for smaller ships that only have 2 hard points, 1 hard point though. But it does make them force ineffective if you can knock out them turrets. For right now, the Tokaras have so many turrets on them that I'm sort of like hesitant to throw down with them, in all honesty. It looks like he's opening up with beam lasers over there on the defense platform. Let's go ahead and engage now that his attention's been eaten up. But I love the ship designs in this game. This guy's got like a Corellian look to him almost. Really good looking ship. Ocelot, what are you doing way out in the front there, brother? What are you doing way out in the front there? That's not where you're supposed to be. Sink 'em, boys. Show 'em the might of the Imperial Navy.
You've saved a lot of lives here. Now about that explanation.
I would like to see the explosive effects get a little bit better. So like the ship sort of doing like a Titanic thing where you hear like the groan of steel. So like, and then it breaks in half and the 2 pieces float while spitting flame for 10-15 seconds. It explodes and makes another set of fragments, and then you can move on. I feel like the explosive effects when you look at them up close aren't super impressive, but from far away they look good, so maybe I'm meant to be zoomed out further. Governor Riley has granted us free access to the Dust Zone. He will send construction crews to assemble stations where we need them, and any existing stations will assist us. Very nice. So it looks like we lost 3 knights, a couple ocelots. You don't get to keep your ships after the fights in this game. You have like a maximum amount of ships that will persist in between missions, and everything exceeding that gets destroyed. I haven't gotten myself into the awkward situation yet where I want to keep one of the ships I made later on, so I haven't really figured out how you flag a ship that you want to keep versus how you flag a ship that's going to be scrapped at the end. It may be a good idea instead for this mission port to pop up, and it'll say you can keep this many ships, and you like click like boop, 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 and you pick the ones, and then the rest of them slide down to the bottom, and it makes like a noise, and it scraps them, and then you get like this right here is in this somewhere, and it goes ticky, 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 and goes up for like the scrap refund that you're getting for like dopamine releases. Just my observation.
You saved a lot of lives. I've contacted the ZMC president, and she's authorized you to use her station facilities to help you in the fight against DSEC. We'll also build new stations for you. She also asked if you could help us again. We need to get in touch with a scientist who can help us with something. We've lost contact with him, and we think DSEC...
What's so important about this scientist?
He's working on something for us, and this DSEC invasion has just moved our timetable up.
All right, so what they've said in that briefing that I just skipped over because I've been trying to make the videos much more about gameplay lately is that we need to go rescue a scientist that's in this neighboring zone that DSEC is actively trying to check. So basically the red guys are trying to find this scientist and kill him because he knows something about why they've backstabbed us. So we need to get to him first as the Imperial Navy. Unfortunately, we're doing that on a shoestring budget right now. But here in MacArthur, we now officially have the ability to repair and retrofit our fleets. So I would recommend doing that. It looks like some of our plasma turrets and things have been shot off. I don't know if you can like scrap these guys and get rid of them, the ones that are like no longer mission effective. But it does look like I can swap in ones that are not wounded right now. And so we'll put them kind of like in the flyboy seat, and then I think we're full up with that expeditionary force. I don't know if I want to keep the APC on in there. There's been a lot of mission objectives that have required me to manufacture an APC and have it dock with something, and so I've been bringing one by default just so I have it on hand so I can get a head start on the mission objective before the enemy does something gnarly. What does Laguna do? So that doesn't belong to us. Over here, it looks like we have a mining station. That mining station can be swapped out for a manufacturing station if we wanted to do it. This guy will also have modules in these little slots over here that will specialize and make him do something cool. What I mean by something cool is you could put like an ion cannon on this guy, and then in your mission, if it's neighboring this zone, he can fire his ion cannon from system to system to like blast enemy units on a cooldown, sort of like Command and Conquer style. Or maybe he has a fleet beacon rally point, and that ability would allow you to instantly spawn like 7 free wolves like every 10 minutes or so that like land on top of your forces and reinforce them like a lightning strike or like a deep strike. Things like that. And then industrial wise, it'll increase your manufacturing speeds, or it'll make you, do things that have to do with producing units and stations better. Shipyard-wise, we'll do the same thing, but for, like, your ships. And so right now, we've got a mining station over here in MacArthur. The mining station is going to give us bonuses, I think, to producing more resources on a given turn. There's also a research tech tree in this game where you can unlock new ships, so we can get the Copenhagen now. If we wanted to do so, it cost us 2,000 resources and 8 of our research. But it feels like not the worst, most terrible idea to do that, because having something a little bit heavier that can kind of tango with the enemy's cruisers and heavy cruisers would be a good idea, since we're kind of at cruiserweight. Alternatively, we could have made anti-frigate missile launchers. We could have made welding turrets, which means that we could convert any of our ships into repair units. There are modules over here. So that's what I was talking about, is we can hack the enemy's engines, which will compromise their controls and give them what looks like a hamstring debuff. We could buy emergency repairs, which will allow us to instantly fix a bunch of our ships in combat. Over here, we've got auto fabricators. We've got loads and loads of things that we can play around with inside of here, from what I've seen so far. And so we've unlocked like a new class of ship. I believe we need to customize that as well. So here's the ship customization, just in case that's a thing that you are interested in. You can bring up any of the ships that you are capable of manufacturing. So it looks like the Copenhagen has 4 turrets, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. So you're going to want this guy to be in a separate control group from everybody else, because their turrets do need to have line of sight in order to hit the enemy. So he's going to want to attack from the bottom while facing upwards underneath the enemy, or above them if he wants to bring all 4 guns to bear. If you want him to actually be in the thick of it, you're going to want the enemy to be above and below him. So he's going to operate at peak DPS when he's surrounded. You can also swap out these guns as much as you want to. I don't think I have anything to swap to right now, but you saw the enemy using missiles on us. Our repair bots were using the welding turrets over here. We've also got point defense missile beams. You've got flat guns for getting rid of fighters. So apparently there are going to be fighters in the game. I hadn't seen any, but, fighters are here. So it looks like we're going to have carriers, which I suppose makes sense, with all the super cruisers and stuff that we have flying around. It looks like we are not cleared to manufacture ocelots yet. Does that take time? Or Copenhagens? Oh, the Copenhagen itself has a fighter bay in it, so it's a light cruiser carrier combo. It's a little bit of a hybrid. I actually probably should have read the description better. All right, so we have a new station. The station is join your side. There was a battle at MacArthur. That's the one that we already fought, and there's the Butcher's Bill. We can close these down whenever we want, and then we can close you down as well, but our next engagement's going to be over there with DSEC. Yeah, it looks like I can't quite manufacture Maybe you specifically need a shipyard for it, because there's different stations over here. We probably need a specific manufactory to make the ocelot, but that's why we're going to capture this zone over on the side. So let's go ahead and let's get our fleets all ready to rock here. Who needs to be repaired? Anybody need to be repaired? Let's go ahead and drag and drop the APC out, because I'm not convinced that I'm going to need it, and I'll probably be able to manufacture my own once we go on in. Let's send them. We also don't have the money, so I suppose that would be the other part, too. Looks like we're going to get proto-matter for this. Proto-matter is kind of like a tangential mobile game resource. I hate to say that, because there's nothing mobile gamey about this game. But you know how, like, in mobile games, you get crystals, and they allow you to manufacture instantly instead of having to wait, like, 10 minutes? In this game, all of your forces, they take, like, 3 or 4 turns to manufacture before you go into battle. You can spend proto-matter one at a time to instantly build them back to back so that you can spit out units faster, basically. Let's see what this mission's got waiting for us.
Hyperspace exit confirmed. Scanning the area now. There's the station. Not much to it. Seeing compartmentalized internal spaces, maybe labs, and... wow. I think I'm reading internal gravity. I thought that was just theoretical. DSEC is here too. They're moving to surround the station. He must still be on board. We're not too late.
Hello? UEN ships. Are you here to pick me up? Please hurry. I think DSEC would like to speak to me, but I don't want to speak to them.
I'm here, Commander.
Sir, we're going to get you out of there. Stand by for extraction.
Not yet, not yet. I need to get my research together. Give me 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
We haven't got 10 minutes. He's closed the channel. Commander, we have to protect that station until he's ready.
All right. Let's go ahead, and we're going to grab all these dudes, and we're going to send them over to Franklin Station about as fast as possible. Are they opening fire on it, or are we, like, good here? Franklin's preparation time is 10 minutes. I'm going to keep these guys parked in the back, my refineries and whatnot. Yeah, just keep them parked in the back and working on these asteroids over here. They do have little animations, too, by the way. Like, if you come down here, you can watch them, and, like, they attach to it, and they've got, like, a little leech sucky thing, and then they take it back to the refinery, and they dock with it. Like, it's got, like, a full animation. You can middle-click. I strongly recommend... You know what? I'm not even going to move forward any further. I highly, strongly recommend you play the tutorial for this game before you jump into the campaign. It's got a separate tutorial before you start the campaign, and I promise you, you are going to be lost with regards to the control scheme unless you play that tutorial, all right? I would love to gloss over it, but the game just has, like, some... It controls mostly how you expect it to, but it has, like, weird little quirks that you're going to have to get used to along the way, all right? There's weird little things. You're going to have to figure it out. Let's go ahead. Yeah, put all fire on the wolf, please. I've already got replacement units being trained, so let's not panic too hard about spilt milk here.
At the ready. Confirmed.
Yeah, I'm going to need you cats to thin out the enemy's firing grid, please. There we go. Continue firing. Things are looking good. That guy, I don't know if he's trying to pull like a fire ship move or what he's trying to do. Shoot him. I don't know. When a ship accelerates towards you like that, you open fire, all right? You say fire everything like Star Wars style, and you just hope that it dies before it gets near you. We have enemy APCs that are sweeping on in. Oh, my goodness gracious. Okay. Let's go ahead, and we are going to bushwhack that APC before it gets here. We may also want to split off a token force over here to go kill that APC before it docks and steals our man. You guys come rendezvous over here. Let's go ahead and keep production going. I don't have that many resources, but we're going to have to give it a go. Enemy APC is down. All fire on that enemy APC, please. Do not let it dock. Unfortunately, they have accuracy in this game, and the accuracy is not looking good right now. Open fire on the enemy. There you go. Stay moving. Stay schmoving. Should have brought an ocelot, man. Should have brought an ocelot before we dove on in here. That's okay, though. It gives me a little bit of time to talk about my likes and dislikes with the game. and I'll just reattempt the mission again with a proper setup. In fact, I was able to bring many more fleets this time, but while I was farming up those units, the Reds managed to conquer a chunk of the map that we saw earlier while I was manufacturing, so that's kind of like one of those womp-womp situations that I'm going to have to deal with after I get done recording. So I think Dust Fleet is an interesting game. It's definitely, like, homeworld inspired. I'm not completely personally convinced that the game needed to be 3D, like 6 Degrees of Freedom, and I don't actually think it makes use of that 6 Degrees of Freedom, really, from what I've seen so far, either, with the missions that I've played. And I think it has mostly to do with the time to kill. But I'll kind of like, let me hit things in order here. So I think the game has control issues. That's going to be the largest part of it. There is a general lunkiness when trying to get your fleet to do the thing that you want it to do. That combined with the inaccuracy of a lot of their guns can make it feel exacerbated and frustrating. I ended up using anchor points a lot in order to get my units around instead of commanding them in 6 Degrees of Freedom. It just made things easier, like rally around the asteroid, so on and so forth. But they don't match each other's speeds either, so that means that if you have a mixed fleet, you need to memorize which ships are faster and which ones are slower, and you just set the faster ships to escort the slower ships until you make contact with the enemy. Otherwise, the slower ships arrive at the battle way too long after the lighter guys have already gotten their jaw rocked off their face, and so there's a little micro there that I wish the game just kind of internally handled by setting a formation that moved at the speed of your slowest unit in a mixed batch. In addition, it can sometimes take some effort to get the ships to actually go and do the thing at the height you wanted them to do in the heat of battle with the 3D. And so anyways, I think the game would have probably benefited from a push pause. I know some people are going to be like, ah, and they're going to hate that, but I actually think it could have, and here's why. If there was a push pause, you would have had the ability to set waypoints for your fleet so that they could move through 3 dimensions and then dive on enemy fleets from the side that their turrets are facing in order to, like, neutralize their turrets super fast in sort of like this tip of the spear attack and leave them without armaments. But with how the game is right now, I think it plays too fast, and I think ships die way too rapidly to set up maneuvers like that on the fly with any kind of precision. And so I felt like the 6 Degrees of Freedom were mostly kind of like not used. Like, it's there, but it doesn't seem like you really need it for much a lot of the time. I honestly think this game probably would have been better in 2D if it pretended to be 3D, like something like Sins of a Solar Empire. So like a slightly tilted disc that the game kind of plays on, like Sins was, I guess. But anyways, the voice acting is really good with this game. I liked it. The ship models are rad as hell. They're chunky, there's no shields, everything is just analog armor getting blasted off. I like that part. There's a satisfying mayhem to the varied mission directives that you're going to get while fighting the enemy. I enjoyed most of the missions so far, in fact, even if I had to try them over a few times, or even if the objectives weren't super clear from the beginning what was going to be like a winning or a losing objective. But there are rougher edges that I've mentioned previously in both the tutorial and earlier missions. The second I jump into a system and start mining, the enemy would bum rush me with everything in the system automatically. We'd end up like fighting around the gate, and then they wouldn't manufacture any more guys, so I could just sort of like swag on up to the objective that I was supposed to be farming an army in order to carve my way to, and just have an open level to go straight to the objective after I killed all the extra units that the AI had. Stuff like that is kind of like janky, I guess. Like, why would they abandon the objective like that and just hit me with everything they have 30 seconds after I spawn into an area, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it's like, oh, I thought we were like building up to break through a blockade, but the blockade came to us, I suppose. It felt kind of clumsy, I guess, on the part of the AI. But all in all, I didn't hate Dust Fleet. There are definitely areas for improvement here, and it has some weird rough edges that you're probably going to have to get used to, largely based around like control and learning to manipulate things fast enough to adapt to situations that are unfolding before your ships with like toilet paper armor get blown in half. I found that repair units really help out with the TTK, so definitely bring a lot of ocelots and repair units. But I enjoyed my time with it. It has a campaign. It has a sandbox mode for anybody that might be wondering. And from there, what you saw in the video today is pretty much what you get: crashing big spaceships into one another, firing broadsides, death lasers, kitting things out, all that kind of stuff. Just be forewarned that there are some weird control things that happened to me multiple times throughout, and the AI made some odd faux pas as well that didn't make sense, that kind of like messed up my disbelief or like immersion, I suppose. I think it's kind of like a simple game, and it accomplishes what it sets out to do. I wouldn't expect like a Stellaris level of depth out of this one. But, you know, it's an RTS, and it's got like a simple 4X layer over the top of it. And you get to blow up some big ships and make some chaos. You know, it's nothing super special, but it's fine. Oh yeah, my name is Splattercat. I sifted the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games so that you don't have to. Today we were messing around with Dust Fleet. Tomorrow we'll be messing around with something else. Thank you for hanging out with me, and that's about all I've got. Bye, folks.